So, hey Taurus, my name is Chris, and this is your beautiful reading for whenever you freaking find it in 2026. Seismic shift years, I'm not getting tired and saying this again and again because it's just how it is. There's the Five of Swords and there's the Queen of Cups and all this turmoil. We have to listen inside, listen to our own emotions, listen to our inner calm. There's the King of Swords and the Page of Cups. Discernment is very important. Let's just deal a few cards and see where this is going. Star card. The Star card. Okay, yeah, that's a story in itself. The Star card and the Page of Pentacles, Five of Cups, the Two of Cups, and two more. Not sure what that is. Okay, let's just do that. The Ace of Cups and the Temperance card. Bottom of the deck, the Four of Cups. So you might not really feel like it. You might not feel... You might be a little grumpy, which is kind of no wonder if you look into the world. So we got a few things here. We got a backstory already. There's the Five of Cups, there's the Five of Swords, dirty fight, and narcissistic abuse, things like that. Few cups got spilled. Very important, do not engage in the fight. Do not engage in arguments. Do not engage in drama. Even if you have lost something, even if you feel betrayed, even if you know, there's some shady business here with the Five of Cups and the Five of Swords. But it's in the past and you kind of came out of this victorious, but it cost you something, right? So having said that, you know, sometimes we get our illusions destroyed when we learn something new. There's the Star card. Star card is a super ambivalent card. So we wish for something and we get it, but what we get sometimes does not exactly look like what we imagined it would be, right? If you go into tarot card readings, then you're searching. You're searching for truth, you're searching for truthfulness, you want to understand something. Ultimately, you want to get to know thyself, right? So if you do that, it's light and shadow, right? It's not just the lovey-dovey stuff. So wish fulfilled from the universe. Sometimes, and that's the duality of the blessing and the curse, means that you get the curse first, Five of Cups energy, right? And then you get the blessing. And since we are mostly operating in duality, right? It's always two sides, one coin, right? So blessing and curse. You pray for the blessing, you want, you know, your wish fulfilled from the universe, but the truth is, it's going to cost you something. So if you pray for truth, for example, then truth will come to you because the universe usually favors, you know, wants to give you, it's not working against you, right? But, you know, when you ask for truth and you get truth, that means that all of your illusions, all of your false beliefs are going to be disappointed. Think about that, right? So you're asking for truth and all the things that you believed were true but weren't true, all of these beliefs get disappointed. And that sometimes feels like the Five of Cups because we are totally emotionally invested if you're operating from an egoic perspective into our illusions, right? But that is in the past, and the Star card is here. The Ace of Cups is here. The Temperance card is here. So much good stuff is here, right? So no worry. The King of Swords, the Queen of Cups, the Temperance card, right? And Temperance, again, is... you're getting something out of it. So a few of your illusions might have been destroyed, right? If you went through narcissistic abuse, if you had to deal with shady people, you probably, you know, when it really hurts, you probably believe them not to be shady people. And then you get betrayed, you get abused, you get used, you get manipulated, things like that. Narcissism, narcissistic abuse, things like that. Whether it's the world, whether it's a relationship, whether it's truths that you believed were truths, but, you know, and it ends up revealing themselves as lies or illusions, right? All that gets disappointed, but when you get the curse first, you get the blessing later. And I think in this time, when you find this reading, 2026, most likely second half or onward, right? It's time for the blessing. The temperance is restored, so what goes up comes up again, what goes down goes up again. Your curse is matched with the blessing. So a few cups got spilled, a few dear cups where you were emotionally invested in, and you kind of fought for your own truths, and now it's time to restore balance and to get your blessing. So that's the backstory. There's the Ace of Cups. Self-love means not to believe your own BS, right? But, you know, accept the blessing as a duality. And the blessing as a duality means you get the curse first and then the blessing. That's better this way, right? So what are you getting last is what you end up with. There are people in the last 9 years, probably 9 or 10 years, who got their blessing first, and maybe they're getting the curse later. So it's better to get the curse first and then the blessing. Then you're really blessed. And this is a blessing, and initially, it might not have felt like that. Maybe you're still in a funk of Cups energy where you're kind of mourning your losses, and you remember that dirty fight, you remember narcissistic abuse, you remember all of these disappointments. But underneath that, there's the Fool card, and it's time for the universe to make it even. Temperance card, the Star card, wish fulfilled from the universe. You got the blessing. You got the curse first, now it's time for the blessing. And the most important thing is Ace of Cups energy, that you begin to be a friend to yourself, that you do what you love on a freaking daily basis, right? Could be whatever, but your heart needs to be involved with it. You need to be, you know, it needs to be meaningful. And heart energy, right? That's Cups energy. Yeah, joyful love and creation. I say it again and again. Ace of Cups with the Page of Cups. The Page of Cups shows up all the freaking time, in basically every reading now that I'm doing. There's divine duality here. I talked about this. This is kind of part of the making peace with what was part. And maybe you're a little resistant to that because you thought, oh, that was so unfair, but justice is on its way. Balance, temperance will be restored, but you have to do your part in it, right? And cultivate inner peace within yourself. Be peace. Don't go into anger, frustration, aggression, thoughts of revenge, things like that. Don't go for revenge, always go for justice. Don't behave like the shady people did in the past, because then you're just multiplying their own shady behavior, right? So it's not about the form. It's not like these are the good people and we are, or usually we are the good people, right? And these are the bad people and whatever we do is good and whatever that's bullshit. That's outer form. All outer forms are illusory. It's about the functionality. It's not about form, it's about functionality. So in other words, it's not about these people and it's not about us. And we're not necessarily always the good people and they're not necessarily always the bad people. It's about what you do. And if you behave the same way that the quote-unquote bad people behave, right? if you lie, if you steal, if you manipulate people, if you take advantage of people, you know, if you play them into guilt, fear, shame, hatred, anger, frustration, if you, you know, or do all that narcissistic, toxic, antagonistic BS, if you behave just the same way, if you're not upholding the law, if you're lying, if you're stealing, if you're doing this, if you're doing that, what is distinguishing you from them? Just the outer form. The outer form doesn't really matter. It's what you do, it's the functionality. So even if you feel like, you know, because of whatever happened here with the Five of Cups and the Five of Swords, dirty fight, that's for sure. But you're coming out of this and you're winning this and you're getting your own blessing and you're participating in the creation of your own blessing by understanding dualities, right? It's never just the blessing. If you pray, Star card, the universe will most likely fulfill your wish or do everything it can to give you that what you ask for. But it's duality, right? It's the Two of Cups. It's not just the blessing. It's the curse first and then the blessing. And you end up in the blessing if you get the curse first. Think of, you know, I say this sometimes as the two sides of passion. You can, it's basically a duality, and you can apply this duality or this functionality of a dualistic system on every difference that you want. So let's just take the blessing and the curse, right? Riding your freaking bike, right? You don't know how to ride your bike. If you don't know how to ride your bike, you want to learn how to ride your bike, well, that can be a curse because you're falling down and you're doing it totally wrong, right? And eventually, after you have fallen down a few times, you get the hang of it, and then you get the blessing, right? So you get the curse first for when you, every child in the world that learns how to walk is falling down. That is, you know, if you're a helicopter parent and you think, oh my God, that's so horrible, that poor child, but that's BS, right? Because duality, baby, right? You can't have the blessing without the curse first. You can't have, you always suffer for your passion because before you can feel joyful about that passion. You always get the cross first and then the cup. The Holy Grail. There you are, right? This is what the universe is giving you, right? It might be a little unconventional. It might be a little out of what you're used to. You know, you're used to falling down. You're used to fight. You're used to deal with antagonistic people. And suddenly there's the blessing. Suddenly things click. Suddenly things work out. But in order for them to work out, you have to accept that blessing and kind of be done with the curse and make peace with it. Not saying that everything that happened was okay, not justifying it, not excusing it, but just que sera, sera. What happened, happened, and now you make the best of it. And that is the inner peace that you cultivate. That is the necessary precondition for receiving your blessing. So not fighting with windmills, not being angry, not cultivating resentment and pain within you, but be done with it in the knowledge that every blessing, that is a true blessing, gets the curse first. And then you've been through that and now you receive the blessing in the knowledge of how duality works, right? And making peace with that, which is not, does not, if you just listen to your feelings, it is, there's the King of Swords, right? The Queen of Cups and the King of Swords. It might feel like shit, right? You don't want that if it's you know, you might be angry about stuff, right? But if as much as you have to honor and respect your feelings, there needs to be the King of Swords here as well. And he's kind of outranking the Queen of Cups in this case. So you need discernment, you need to be reasonable, and you need to understand, as I said, the functionality of duality and make peace with that in that system that we live in, which is primarily working or tuned to a dualistic mindset, a dualistic consciousness. Blessing means you get the curse first and then the blessing. And you wouldn't want to have it otherwise, right? And the people who got the blessing first might have a rude awakening very soon. If you're resonating with this channel, you got definitively the curse first. So no worry. It's not, I'm not a Christian, I'm a Buddhist. We don't believe in, forgiveness or revenge or all that. It's karma, right? And karma works also in that regard of the law of duality, Trinity, whatever. But there is a law at play, and the universe is not just random. What goes down comes up again. What goes up goes down again. So that's how it is. And you have to trust that, and you have to make peace, and you have to allow things out of your control to play themselves out, meaning you don't do yourself a favor if you're in resentment and pain, if you're in anger and frustration, even in hatred, right? That's not a good frequency to be in. That is kind of keeping you from joyful, loving creation, and you deserve that. So don't hinder the universe to give you your blessing. And I say this again, the necessary precondition for receiving your blessing is to make peace and let it be, and trust into the universe to sort itself out. By all means, speak your truth, even if your voice is shaking, but you're not alone in this. Yeah? You don't need to save the world. That is too much for one person. Trust in that. There's discernment here. If you know how it works, if you understand how duality works, you can trust in it. You got everything you need. There is the Temperance card, there's the Page of Cups. The Page of Cups is here, and the Page of Pentacles, which is a beautiful energy. So you got everything you need to receive your blessing, and it's coming. Trust in that. Don't fight windmills. And if you get into the funk, meditation and breathwork is the best thing that I can recommend. Go out, do some sport, if you're just going for a walk or something like that. If you're just sitting in a park under a tree, that helps, right? But meditation and breathwork is pretty much the best you can do. Negative breathing, 1 in, 2 out. So 10 seconds in, 20 seconds out, something like that. Don't overdo it. Don't be too hard on yourself. Be a friend to yourself, right? Don't force yourself into... you don't have to prove anything, right? So be kind to yourself. The out breaths, when you're breathing out, you should really push out the breaths, but you shouldn't get dizzy. You shouldn't, be kind to yourself. And you need to find out what the sweet spot for you is. But make sure that the out breath is 2 times that of the in breath. Combine that with meditation. You got everything you need. And there was one card that flew out. There is the High Priestess. It's, 4 of Pentacles, the High Priestess. There is the 4 of Wands. Better times coming. Better times coming. There's the, there is the Wheel of Fortune here. And then we got the 5 of Swords at the bottom of the Clarifier deck. And the bottom of the big deck is the 4 of Cups. Underneath that, there's the New Beginning. Underneath that again is the the Strength card. So it's not the time to force anything to happen. Things are in motion and things are going to sort themselves out. And if you coming from this energy, you most likely did your part to did your part in order to support that sorting out process. So, that's what it is. And Gateway, number 38, Blue Angel Oracle deck card. Haven't had that in a while. Evolution. Okay. Observe this image closely. It depicts a portal that leads you up golden steps of light to an arc. Once you reach this point, you ascend further to an even higher realm of consciousness. This spirit journey is occurring within you. Right now, you are ascending to higher planes of awareness, wisdom, and love. This is a significant point in your soul's evolution, a rare and major event. It is an invitation and an initiation to which you are eternally blessed. There are cycles of great wisdom and love from this point on. Yeah, that's pretty much what I said. And you know, when you learn something big about the universe, you can say you have some sort of enlightenment, right? But having an enlightenment, quote unquote enlightenment, is not that special. It's just, it's going on, you know, you learn something, you go a little down, you go a little up, and higher, hopefully, than you went down before. And then you're on the upward spiral and it's infinite. And whenever you close a cycle or a spiral, 360 degree on that spiral, that's another enlightenment. Whether you learn how to ride your bike, whether you learn how to swim, whether you learn how to walk, whether you learn how duality works, which is, by the way, no woo-woo BS, that's systems theory. You know, it's a theory actually, and it makes a lot of sense, right? So how does duality work? You can't have one side of a coin. It's always two sides of a difference, right? If there's a blessing, then there's a curse. So two sides, one coin. If there's a night, there's a day. You can't have one without the other. It's a couple, because it is, you know, when you think about night and day, it's a gradient. There's no such thing as night and day. There's just the cycle, and if it's getting darker, then we call it night, but it's actually the same phenomena in different states. And the same is true with what we conceptualize as the blessing and the curse. And trusting in that and understanding that, King of Discernment, can, in the right times, override your aching heart that might feel grumpy and might not really like it, and shouldn't we get even, and shouldn't we, you know, behave just as shady like them and make it even, right? No, we shouldn't, because if we behave like them, then they have already won. Then they have conquered us. Then they have planted their shady stuff within us, and we are expressing that. So if we behave in a functional way, just like the narcissist, like the toxic person, like the antagonistic person, psychopath, whatever, then there are two of us suddenly, where there used to be one. So don't do that. Uphold your principles. We don't need to take revenge. Don't go for revenge. Go for justice and let karma do the rest. Now, Budaya, that's Two of Cups, right? Understanding duality, honoring duality. And even if your heart doesn't feel like it, the King of Swords is telling the Queen of Cups, lady, listen, this is how it works. You can trust in this. This is karma. It's a universal law. And if you don't like the word karma, if you don't like talks about universal laws and stuff like that, then by all means, read a few books about systems theory. That's all I got. Share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about it. And check out the fall and winter reading of 2026. Check out your sun, moon, and rising sign. And that's all I got. See you soon. Now, bye.